This Destiny Rising artifact guide is going to cover everything you need to know. We've got the best artifacts for each hero, artifact tips and how to upgrade artifacts properly, where to use your resources, how the set effect works, and everything in between. Before I showcase the best artifacts for heroes, we've got some sort of important intro rules that I think every player needs to know. This is going to be really important before you go and put a bunch of artifacts across all of your different characters, so listen out for this first. And if at any point you feel like you already know something, then I've got timestamps below so you can skip around when you feel like it. One set of artifacts can be used across all of your characters. For example, you see these level 80s here with the +8. If I go to Jolder, I've also got them on Jolder. I've also got them on Gwynn. Got them on all of my characters because one artifact can be used across all of your characters. Quick side note that exotic artifacts don't follow this rule. Exotic artifacts will drop with a specific element type and only heroes with that element can use it. So for example, this solar artifact here can only be used on solar heroes, but you can still use it infinitely across all of your solar heroes. So what's really important to note about that is you don't want to spend your resources upgrading tons of different artifacts. You want to put in all of your resources upgrading a few artifacts that are extremely powerful. So the main goal when it comes to getting the best artifacts is to play as much of the Singularity Chaos game mode as you can. This is where you get artifacts and get the right rolls. Whilst artifacts do have specific traits tied to them, for example, the Ring of Safeguard has an overshield equal to 27% of max health when shield is broken. Every artifact that you get will have a random roll of attribute stats. And this is where you're going to be getting the most value out of these items. You're going to get more healing, more defense, more damage, and overall more power rating too. So don't waste your resources upgrading tons and tons of different artifacts. Instead, go for a set amount, maybe like 4 to 6, depending on what characters you've got. And once you've decided on what artifacts you want to go for, you can set them up in your challenger's wish list, and they'll have a greater drop chance in the mode Singularity Chaos, which is where you're going to be farming artifacts. So you can go in here and farm artifacts like crazy until they've got the attributes that you like. And then at that point, you want to fully upgrade them. It should be noted that this costs a lot of pinnacle. You're going to be spending lots and lots of pinnacle. In fact, each time you complete 3 rounds of Singularity Chaos, you'll get 3 chests, 1 to 3 artifacts in. That's going to cost you 10 pinnacle energy every time. It adds up quick, especially when you don't get the rolls that you like. So what's important about that is you shouldn't really go and farm for artifacts until you're a high enough level to adequately get mythic artifacts. In the early game, you'll get by fine with just normal legendary artifacts. Don't worry about upgrading them too much. Don't worry about their stats. Don't worry about that at all until you've unlocked the ability to farm mythic artifacts in this adventure. Don't even waste your pinnacle energy, because if you do, the truth is, you're just going to throw those artifacts in the bin for resources. So it's a waste of pinnacle energy. Pinnacle is the most valuable resource in the game. So wait till you can get random mythic artifact drops from Singularity Chaos. And that's going to come down to you leveling up and completing the campaign. To do all of that first and only upgrade your artifacts when there's a specific campaign mission that requires you to do so, or you need to boost up your gear rating a little bit for certain content. Now, once you've got to the point where you can farm mythic artifacts, that's the time to put in all of your pinnacle resources to farm like crazy and get the ones that matter the most to you. So how do you figure out which ones are the best for you? Well, I've got a build for each hero in the game that I think is going to get the most value out of that specific hero. Now, remember, it's going to be more valuable for your time to upgrade maybe 4 to 6 artifacts, or 8 if you can put in the resources. No more than that. Otherwise, you're just going to spread yourself too thin. So whilst there are different builds that will be useful for each hero, I would suggest choosing 2 main heroes that you really like, focus on building out those builds and those artifacts, and then you can put those artifacts across the rest of your heroes. Otherwise, you're going to really run out of resources and struggle in the late game to build out strong enough resources and artifacts across all of your heroes. So focus on 2 characters you really like, focus on those 4 to 8 artifacts. There will be some crossover, so you may only need to build like 6 And then don't worry about any other artifacts. Don't worry about maxing out any artifacts. Use, for example, my wolf build here. And now that I've maxed these out, I'll just put them wherever I can on my other characters, right? I'm not going to worry about trying to max out all of these because I haven't even finished maxing out Wolf's artifacts yet. I'm very sort of getting to the point where I'm late game, but there are so many more resources to waste to fully max out artifacts. They just keep getting more and more powerful. So keep that in mind, all right? Now, with that said, let's look at the best build for every character. Now, this is from my own experience, my own playstyle. You may have some different opinions, and that's okay. The best thing to do is really go and have a look at everything yourself and figure it out on your own to fit your own playstyle. But I think these builds will give you a good starting point. So, for Wolf, gain plus 54% shield when health falls below 30%. By the way, the attribute builds we'll talk about a little bit after. We'll focus on the actual artifacts themselves first. This one's just going to give you a bit more survivability because Wolf's abilities don't give you too much extra health if you're in a dangerous situation. Next, we have Ring of Safeguarding. Gain an overshield equal to 7% of max health when shield is broken. Once again, these two are just going to give you a bit more survivability, and that's going to be important because Wolf lacks that. Besides his Wolf Strike ability, where he can hit into targets, that does give him an overshield, but you won't be able to do that all the time unless you're chaining attacks against lots of weak health targets, right? Now, the next two really lean into the fact that you're getting bonus overshields, okay? So you're getting an overshield when your shield is broken, and you're also getting an overshield every time you hit a target with the Wolf's Strike ability here, okay? So whenever you hit a target with that, you'll get an overshield, and remember, you can chain that against low health targets. Every time you kill a target with it, you get it back. So you can essentially keep getting overshields constantly. So this is going to really help. The next one, Ring of Morale, gaining an overshield grants plus damage bonus for 6 seconds. Your damage boost is going to depend on what level artifact you have, but you'll get a damage bonus for 6 seconds every time you get an overshield. You're going to get an overshield a lot, right? And then we have this one, gain damage bonus equal to overshield value divided by max health. So the larger your passive bar in the bottom here, for those that are curious, this ability here, Wolf's Awakening, the larger that bar is before you hit this Wolf Strike, the larger your overshield is going to be, and the more damage you're going to do from Ring of Reflection, up to a maximum bonus damage of 15% if you get this to level 80, by the way. So you're getting bonus damage every time you activate an overshield, which really lends itself nicely with the Wolf Strike ability. And the first two are going to give you some nice survivability. Next, we have Gwynn. Now, this build is about enhancing your abilities mostly, because I think that's where a lot of Gwynn's power comes in. It's constant use of her abilities, especially once you get some multiple rolls. For example, once we get the second roll, Soul's Assault max number of charges is increased to 2, so you can use that far more frequently. So keep that in mind. It's all about trying to boost off of your constant ability usage. Firstly, recover 10% health after casting any ability. So Gwynn is going to be using her abilities quite often, so that's really helpful. After taking damage, Healing Conjunction. Sorry, I should name them. Healing Plantesimal, by the way, the first one. Second one, Healing Conjunction. After taking damage within 15 meters of the source, recover 1.8% health per second for 6 seconds. This does have a large cooldown, but because you're always going to be up close and personal, you're going to be able to really get this basically all the time. You're basically going to be having 1.8% health per second forever. I mean, the cooldown's 15 seconds, so about 11 seconds of downtime. Sorry, 9 seconds of downtime, and then the rest of the time you're going to have constant extra bonus healing because you're always up close killing people. And then the drawn weapon deals minus 7% precision damage and 12% body shot damage. So you got a shotgun, and you know, you're just going to be doing mostly body damage on this thing. The pistols also have a little bit of spread, right? Like longer range, it's going to be a little bit harder to hit precision shots. And up close, then, you know, that's going to matter a lot. So I just think her weapon style, she's going to get less precision shots anyway, so this feels a little bit more beneficial. And then the final one, Bellicose Subgravity, gain 8.7% reload speed and 10% weapon damage while airborne. I mean, yeah, you're going to be airborne a lot with Gwynn. Not only can you double jump, but you can float in the air for a bit, right? So there's no reason not to be taking as much time in the air as possible. Getting an extra 10% damage all the time is really great. A lot of artifacts will give you damage for a set amount of time, right? Maybe for 6 seconds, maybe for 9 seconds. This one is constant, so that's pretty good. Next, we have Tan 2. Right, so Tan 2 does a lot of precision damage when he hits headshots, and his whole kit is about getting more precision shots. That will further augment his abilities, right? You want to try and go for precision shots, especially once you've unlocked weapon mastery for him. So this is just going to further augment that. Precision final blows grant a 406 overshield for 8 seconds on bulwark token. As you can probably guess, there's going to be some damage boosts in here based on overshield gaining, so stay tuned for that with these artifacts. Next, we have Ring of Conversion. 36% of overflow healing from the wielder's own abilities is converted into an overshield that lasts 6 seconds. So we've got an overshield that will hit every time we get a precision blow, an overshield that will happen every time we get overflow healing. And by the way, let me just show you this real quick. Anytime Tan 2 uses his healing abilities and he's got full health, that counts as overflow healing. Look at this. The overshield is building now because of that thing. So not only are we going to be able to tank up more damage, we're going to get extra bonus damage because of the artifacts we have in a second. And this also applies to the ultimate as well. We're going to build up a very strong overshield constantly whilst using his healing abilities. So first though, we have Inverted Fury, gain 13.5% weapon damage bonus whilst shielded. That's going to be a really nice boost of damage. And that's a huge amount of damage boost. It's weapon damage, but most of Tan 2's damage is going to come from his weapons. And then finally, the big one, gain damage bonus equal to overshield value divided by max health. Now, he's going to get a bunch of overshield from overflow healing, from precision shots. So this all stacks together to give him more overshields all the time, more damage, and bonus damage based on overshields and precision shots. So really good build specifically for Tan 2 to really augment his kit to just output more damage. For Jolder, the first one I don't actually have. I had to break down a bunch to upgrade some of my other artifacts. So case in point, it's hard to get resources to fully upgrade artifacts, so you shouldn't spread it at yourself too thin, right? But Resolute Conjunction is good on Jolder for her first one. Takes minus 12.12% damage from sources within 15 meters. She's going to be up close and personal a lot of the time because of her kit, so that's great for her. Her doing less damage over time is going to be good. We then have Ring of Safeguarding. Gain an overshield equal to max health when shield is broken. It's just going to give her a little bit more survivability, which is going to be important for her. And then we've got gain 18% weapon damage bonus whilst shielded. Her health is always going to give her overshield and HP regen, right? Her abilities. So you're going to have a lot of tankiness. You're going to have a lot of opportunity to be shielded, right? You're not going to take as much damage, so your shield is going to be there. So that extra percent weapon damage bonus is pretty big. And then finally, we have Ring of Reflection again. Gain damage based on overshield value. So we're going to get overshield from her base kit anyway. Her ultimate is a good example of that. You're going to get overshield when your shield is broken. So you get extra damage when you have overshield. You have extra damage when you have shield. All of her abilities are going to keep her healthy and tanky so that she keeps her shield. And whenever she doesn't have a shield, well, she's then going to get an overshield. Basically just stacks of tankiness and then a little bit of extra damage alongside it. Next, we have Finnala. Right, let's have a look at Finnala's artifacts that I think are best for her. Grants 28% potency to healing and overshields received. So if you didn't know, when Finnala kills an enemy, there'll be a fire sprite. She can pick that up and that will get her healing. So if she's already got full healing, this will turn into overflow healing. And when we move on to Ring of Conversion, 48% of overflow healing from the wielder's own abilities is converted into an overshield. So because we're getting a boost in potency to healing and overshields, right? And then this one, your overflow healing goes into overshield. Anytime you pick up sprites, you're going to build up a stronger and stronger overshield, which then leads into Ring of Morale. Gaining an overshield grants 12% damage bonus, and Ring of Reflection. Gain damage bonus based on your overshield value divided by max health. So just running around killing enemies, you're going to get passive healing. The passive healing is boosted by Ring of Abundance. If you've got full health already, that is then converted into an overshield. The overshield then gives you damage bonus based on how big your overshield is. So it's just a really blatant opportunity for Finnala here with her artifacts. For me, Ning is a bit of a squishy character. He can do a lot of damage, but there can be situations where he takes a lot of damage and he could potentially be eliminated, and he doesn't really have any opportunities to quickly give him some health. So first we have Inverted Guard. You get 40% shield when your health falls below a certain threshold. So a nice boost in shield when you almost die to keep you alive. Ring of Safeguarding, gaining overshield when your shield is broken. So once again, these first two, it's all about survivability because Ning lacks that unless he's inside his clone, right? Third one, deal extra damage while sprinting. So this basically means, for those that are curious, if I start the sprint and start shooting whilst hip fire, this counts while sprinting. So just extra 10% damage. It works well because he's got an SMG that you're going to want to be up close for anyway. Hip firing works fine. As soon as you ADS, the sprint does stop. So you have to do that in hip fire. But that extra 10% damage for free, essentially. Or once you get a higher set effect, that will go larger. And then finally, Inverted Vengeance. Gain plus current shield value divided by initial shield value times damage bonus while shielded. So basically, you get more damage bonus as long as you have your shield up. Which is going to be most of the time, right? I mean, the shield is like 2,000. That's the majority of your health. You're going to have the shield most of the time. So it's just extra damage for Ning because I think that that's what he needs the most, is just to put out as much damage as possible before anything else, because he has no survivability or tankiness. Next, we have Kabr. First, Healing Radiation. Recover 1% health per second while within 20 meters of a target affected by debuffs, includes the wielder. You're going to be fairly close to fighting, so extra health regen is going to be nice. And then we have Healing Mutation. After consecutively hitting the same target with more than 5 rounds, you'll recover health on each hit, equal to 9% of the initial weapon damage. So he has LMGs. He's going to be firing consecutively for a long time. So both of these are just going to give him some more tankiness. This is where it gets interesting, though. Gain 10% weapon damage bonus while shielded. And then finally, gain damage bonus based while shielded. So because you're going to be behind your ability here, as often as possible, you want to be behind this, you're going to be shielded most of the time, right? You want to be behind this thing, so you don't really need to worry too much. It also should be noted that while we've got this one on here, Healing Radiation, his kit is all about blinding enemies. So that counts as a debuff, right? So you're going to get health per second whenever a debuff's active because he's always putting out debuffs. All right, I have some really fun artifacts for Attal, okay? This is kind of crazy. Firstly, Ring of Abundance grants potency to healing and overshields received. She's all about healing, so that makes a lot of sense. You can get a lot of healing here, but we can convert that overflow healing into extra damage for herself when she doesn't need to heal her teammates. So the next one is Ring of Conversion. Overflow healing from the wielder's own abilities is converted into an overshield. So just to put this into perspective, whenever Attal uses any ability, her passive will create healing. So that, because I've got full health, will overflow into an overshield. So I'm going to be able to frequently keep using all of my abilities to boost up overflow healing to the point where I've got an almost 2,000. If I take no damage for like a little while, I'll have a 2,000 overshield, which is crazy amount of tankiness. And that will flow into the third one, Ring of Morale. Gaining an overshield grants damage bonus. And finally, Ring of Reflection. Gain damage equal to overshield value divided by max health. It has a max damage bonus, but basically the more you use your healing abilities, the more overflow healing you'll get, the more overshield you'll get, the more damage you'll get. So really, really works well with Attal. Then we have this guy's on way. So, this one's important. Healing Plantesible. Recover 10% health after casting any ability. If you didn't know, once he's got his weapon mastery out, he's going to be getting his grapple ability really often. Like, it's going to have a 1-second cooldown every time you eliminate enemies. So you're going to be casting that all the time. So you're going to always have health when you need it. And then we have this one, Unrelating Evolution. Gaining damage resistance. Gains additional stack of armored, take less damage. So for those that don't know, his whole passive and his weapon mastery passives are all about gaining damage resistance as he eliminates enemies. So this is going to give him a lot more protection and less, more damage reduction. So health regen all the time when he's using his abilities and constant damage reduction as well. And then we have Jolted Transit. The drawn weapon deals 7% less damage, but more body shot damage. His main weapon doesn't do precision damage. So this is a no-brainer, right? It just locks onto targets. It just locks onto targets, and you can't do headshots, right? So, yeah, obviously that's the right choice for him. And then finally, Bellicose Planetesimal. Casting signature abilities grants 10% weapon damage for 6 seconds. That is a no-brainer as well, because he's getting his signature ability every 1 second, all right? This one, Mighty Tether, every 1 second. Well, as long as he's killing people consistently, it will get on cooldown very quickly once you've unlocked the weapon masteries. Next, we have Ikora. Firstly, Unrelenting Shell. Reloading weapons get better damage resistance. She reloads all the time. Her first weapon literally has 1 shot, and then you have to reload. So that's going to be useful there. Bloodthirsty Shell next. Hitting multiple targets at the same time with spread weapons. Restores health. She's all about spread weapons, right? She's always going to be hitting multiple enemies. That's the whole purpose of her kit. So no-brainer there. Next one, Courageous Planetesimal. Casting an ability increases damage for 10 seconds. This is important because she's going to be able to reduce her cooldown on her abilities with her passive, right? When she gets eliminations, she gets reduced cooldown. So she has her abilities very, very often. So having this makes a lot of sense. And then we have Bellicose Subgravity. Gain reload speed, very important because her reload takes a long time. And weapon damage whilst airborne. And she should be airborne. It's going to give her a better chance to deal damage over like AoE blasts across groups of enemies, and she can just jump in the air and be flying for quite a long time. So it makes sense. It makes sense. Right, we've gone through the builds. Now let's talk about how artifacts work when it comes to acquiring them and leveling them up. So basically, you're going to want to go get artifacts in Singularity Chaos. This is going to be the main method. And this is a roguelike game mode where you go through waves of enemies solo, and at the end you have a number of chests you can open, and it will cost pinnacle rewards to do it. Although without pinnacle rewards, you can still get like 1 low value artifact. So you're not completely out of luck, but you won't get the best drops if you don't have pinnacle energy. So it's very pinnacle energy dependent. So you're going to need to kind of plan ahead of time to farm these things, right? And you're going to want to farm them because even though, say, you know, you want to build Ikora and you're going for these 4 different artifacts, getting an artifact is not the end of it. You want to get a specific role on artifacts, and that can take quite a lot of time. Let me take you to my wolf build so far that I'm still working on, by the way, and I've played a lot of Singularity Chaos. It's a never-ending chase, this, and it's where you're going to get a lot of power. So let's take a look at some of these, and we'll talk about what you need to look for when farming so you know if it's worth upgrading that artifact or just throwing it in the bin. Most of the time, it's going to be worth just throwing it in the bin, and you'll see in a second. Firstly, legendaries, not worth it whatsoever. Right, let's take a look at why. If we go all the way down to rares, they get 1 random attribute roll. Legendaries have 2, mythics have 3, and exotics have 4. So the most powerful gear artifacts will be exotic ones, obviously. But mythics are still very valuable because they can be used universally across all characters, whereas exotics can only be used for specific element types. So this is a solar Ring of Reflection. It can only be used on solar heroes. So getting a bunch of mythics is still going to get a lot of power in here, and they take a little bit less resources to upgrade. For example, if I want to upgrade this, I'm going to need this resource here. If I want to upgrade my exotic, I'm going to need this very rare material here, which takes a while to farm. So mythics are easier to reach their max potential, but exotics are going to be more powerful in the long term. But building mostly a build of mythics is going to be better, okay? It's just easier to fully upgrade them. So besides the 3 random rolls that you get, and you're going to want to keep farming them until you get the right kind of rolls. For example, I'm playing Wolf, so logically, I'm going to want to go for solar boost rolls, weapon enhancement rolls, and maybe overshield bonus rolls, because the way I've built my artifacts, I get more damage from overshields. If you're playing someone like Gwynn, you're going to want to go for ability enhancements or super boost enhancements or void boosts, right? The rolls that you want are going to depend on your main characters. And if you get the wrong rolls, there's absolutely no point upgrading the artifact. You're going to waste all your resources. So that's going to take a little bit of thinking on your own to figure out which rolls are best for you. Just think about what you use. Do you use your abilities? Do you use your weapons? What element type are they? And that will put you in the right direction for you to know what random rolls you want to get. Once you've got an artifact that you like, it's got the right name, right? So it's got the right ability. It's got the rolls that you're pretty happy with. The next thing you need to understand is upgrading your artifact and the set effect bonus. Now, these go hand in hand in a way. Firstly, the set effect is based on how powerful your artifacts are. We have an artifact rating score here, right? And that determines how powerful the base set effect is. So I got level 3 right now, and this is going to give me a 27% overshield. Once I get it to level 4, it will be 36%. And to do that, I can check this list here, and it will give me some ideas on how I could do that. I can increase the enhancement level. I could increase the attribute score. The enhancement level is pretty straightforward. You go to an artifact, you click modify, and then you go enhance. You can use this resource to do it. Or you can use other mods that you have lying around that you don't need. For example, all of the legendaries that you aren't going to be using, right? By enhancing something, you're going to increase the value of these attributes. For example, my defense boost, overshield bonus, and healing bonus has had a massive enhancement, as you see the plus values here, because I've enhanced it to level 8 by this point. You can also raise the gear level up to a maximum of 80. And when you level it up to 80, you'll sort of get a random roll for the base values of these attributes. And this can be from, once you're level 80, this is where it's going to matter. The lowest it can be is 35, and the highest it can be is 55. So I'm going to hit this now. And we've just got a roll for this item that has base value of 37, 42, and 43 on the random attributes. This isn't too bad, but we could have had it as high as 55. So when you're thinking about super endgame builds, you're going to want to try and get as close as possible to this 55 cap before you enhance it. Let's try another one here. We've got this level 71 here. If I go and now raise the gear level once again, we'll have that same chance. So when I click infuse, this time we got 48, 42, and 38. That is a lot better. This is something that looks largely better than what I had before, right? Much closer to the 55 max. And now I can go to the enhanced thing once I've got base rolls that I like and fully enhance it. Doing it this way is mostly beneficial because it means that I'm starting with the base set that I really like. But let's say we fully enhance this item, okay? And then later on down the line, I realize I've rolled something even better. So I've got this +8 here, right? And I realize, oh, I've just rolled something even better that has better stats. Let's just, for example, say this one here has health boost, healing boost, melee damage resistance at +55. And I really want that. So what I can do is I can go to this one that I've enhanced, modify, attribute transfer, and then get that item that I've just upgraded. And I can go, look, I can now transfer my attributes over. So I'm going to get the enhancement and the different attributes, right? I'm going to get melee damage resistance, health boost, and healing bonus. Like that, we got it. That original artifact will be consumed. It will be lost forever. But the benefit is you'll move over that attribute and the bonus, the plus score, over to another artifact that may have higher base rolls. So once you've got, you can go and upgrade what you want, but once you've found an artifact that has the highest base rolls possible, you can then transfer your existing artifact and its enhancement levels and stats into this item. I know that was a lot to take in, but this system is pretty complex. And when you're endgame as well, you activate this feature, Gilding, which is, even though it's in the artifact tree, this is just a straight boost to your base health, shield, and defense stats. And it's really straightforward. You just get the Void Fruit, the Solar Fruit, and the Arc Fruit from different areas in the game. And as you progress, that is going to just improve your base stats. And upgrading this late game will actually further augment your artifact. You will get to set 3 by default, but once you increase your perk level through this, you will unlock further set effects. So this is super endgame stuff now. Hopefully you found this all useful. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the comment section.